All right, good morning and welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Joy Adesuwa Romasele. Welcome to the show.
Oh, well, there's a story that's of concern, when you talk about how parents, the fact that parents should train their children in the way that they should go, so when they grow, they would not depart from it. But that's not the big story. That's just on the side. Where we have a story about a boy who robbed his own parents. He's a 17-year-old boy, somewhere in Ogun State, Ogijo area of Ogun State. He's reported to have stolen 3 mobile phones, 2 generator sets, and the sound system, and not just that, and a Toyota Corolla car belonging to his parents. One would think probably he didn't want to wait to inherit them. He had to steal them. Oh well. We do hope that it wasn't peer pressure, and we hope that children will behave a lot better.
Yeah, but I mean, do we call this just childish,
No, it's not
youthful
childish
exuberance, or is it just greed? How does a
Well,
70-year-old, what does he even need all of this for anyway? Well,
are you
of course,
asking
of
that
course.
question?
In these
What
times.
does he need them for? Oh well. The main topic for today, of course, is one that's on a lot of all the pages actually, all the pages of the newspapers. It's everywhere. Today is the day after, and the jury has spoken with judicial eloquence, of course. President Bola Tinubu is affirmed president, and none of the challenges thrown up by Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and Peter Obi of the Labour Party stood the test of a 5-month legal battle. Oh well, that's in the opinion of the court. Now, this will be our main and only topic of conversation this morning. Well, of course, in the tradition of the show, we'll have to start off with stories that made it to the cover pages of the dailies. And that's one story that you're sure to see, but there are other stories of concern that we will touch on this morning. And to help us make sense of the stories on the cover pages of newspapers, we have VOP in-house analyst Cyril Abaku with us. Good morning, Cyril.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Moses.
Cyril.
Good morning, Joy.
Welcome.
Hope you had a restful night because it was a long
It was a
day
long day.
yesterday.
It was
was.
a long day and understandably a short night, but
Yes.
I mean, like we said yesterday, for some it's celebration, and for others it's not celebration at all.
The celebration started yesterday actually because even before the judgment came,
Even
there were
before,
people,
yes.
That's it. Yeah.
on the streets of
Who
Abuja.
were only too confident about the outcome of the
Of course, yeah, they were only too
of
confident.
the ruling.
Oh well.
But did you expect anything different, though?
Well, those that were challenging the case expected something
Expected, I-
different.
Expected, I would think something in the realm of a miracle. Because
Oh well, do well to follow our conversation here. Like, subscribe, engage with us on YouTube. We are Voice of the People TV. That's how we appear up on YouTube. That is Voice of the People TV. And let's get into the business of the day, shall we? We do have the Daily Trust, the Punch, and the Nation, and the Guardian. If time permits, we'll take all these papers and maybe even more. But starting off with the Punch newspaper, banner headline, as expected. Atiku, Obi, plan appeal as election tribunal dashes bid to sack Tinubu. Subriders, Atiku, Obi's rigging allegation not proved. E-transaction not compulsory, says PPT. It is victory for democracy. Tinubu, APC hail judgment. LP, Atiku, fume, fault tribunal. Of course, Cyril, I know this is our major topic, but hey, you still have an opinion, and would like to hear your opinion.
I know. So where to start the conversation basically is to understand the fact that Moses, between you and I, the grounds on which the court took its decisions are not new to me.
Mm.
And they are the sort of things that we had some APC stalwarts say even before the tribunal was constituted. And I said it here that since we couldn't preempt the court, that it was owned, but that I could make an allusion to the fact that those things we were hearing then were the things we are going to hear later. I don't know if you recall me saying those
I do,
that,
actually.
yes, that you are already hearing what you're going to hear. So, and now we've heard them. I am not a lawyer, and I do not have a vested interest in the litigation whatsoever. But let me just pick one item, which is section 134, subsection 2 of our Constitution, that makes it abundantly clear that anybody...
134, I think.
Yes, 134, subsection 2.
Yes.
Makes it abundantly clear that anybody who will be sworn in, declared winner, president of Nigeria, must win, must have
a quarter
of the votes cast in 2/3 of the states,
and the FCT.
including the FCT. It's clear. It's in black and white. There's a reason why that law was made. Let me take you back in very long history. In the 1960s, it was majority carries the vote. So a party like the MPC wouldn't even campaign in the South because they knew that all the votes they'll get in the North were enough to beat, were 3 times more than all the figures they'll get in the then Western and Eastern region put together. So they didn't have to come and, but what that now led to was the fact that it means that you could get a government of just one clan or one tribe or one people, which would be representative. And when they are writing the party policy, they wouldn't understand what your needs in the South are. They wouldn't, it was exclusionary. So the framers of the Constitution, Murtala Mohammed, for example, came and said, you know what, when you're drawing up a new Constitution for 79, make sure that every state has representation. That was how the principle of federal character came in. It wasn't at the beginning. So there's a reason why they said you must have 2/3 of so that it will be representative enough. Nigeria, look at a president came, a president ago. The thing we had was that he looked for people he trusts. A president must have people that he trusts in Akwa Ibom, in Sokoto, in Kebbi, in Enugu, in Zamfara, in Osogbo. He must have. How can you be president and you can't create friendships and relationships and bridges across the country? You are not fit to be president. You can be the president's advisor, but not president. So when they say that in the votes also, you must score 2/3 of a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of the state. It is that when people want to challenge, they say, and 1 in every 4 would have voted for you. So that would be enough to say, no, he's our president. We voted. Even if he lost in some states, he would still have reasonable.
Yes.
If you didn't need to win in Abuja, why did you need to win 25% of the votes cast in 2/3 of the states? Why did you have to do that? It is the same section that says you must win, and the section also said that it understand the fact that there will be more than 2 candidates in the election, which means there will be candidate 1, candidate 2, and maybe candidate 3 and another. But that the winner must, which means that to win the election, you must work, you must toil, you must be somebody.
You must campaign.
The law automatically tells you that you must be somebody who has relevance across. This is the problem why now, for example, one president could come from Lagos State, or from Sokoto, or from Enugu, or from Katsina, and the next thing you find is that among his 20 advisors, all of them are from his state, or from his local government, or from his region. He does not have people from other parts of the country. Do you know, even in the years of military rule, Babangida had a way of incorporating people. I doubt if there's any village in this country that won't say Babangida was their president. Because in almost every look, Babangida had a way of getting people from almost every part of the country to work with him, or at least to be his loyalists or to be his friends. Babangida had friends like that. MK Abiola had friends like that. There was this talk about MK. How many people will make MK cheap? MK Abiola had traditional tattoos from almost 400 and something communities across Nigeria. Those things were not being done because he had the money. I think it was part of his own way of saying, I am with you, I am for you. So this was the thing. Now, what did the judges, for me, as far as I'm concerned, on that score alone, what we got was a judgment and not justice. Okay. Because how could they say?
Anyway, it's a big conversation, and we have the whole day, the rest of the week, and maybe the weekend, or maybe months to come
to talk
about this.
Yes.
But we do have some of the stories that are biting Nigerians right now. One of them is the fact that This, consumers protest as FG hikes electricity meter price by 40%. Oh well.
And the NLC has called off its strike.
NLC called off its strike in preparation for a bigger one.
And yeah, a
No,
more
but-
elongated one.
So I think this is the thing. The way we are
It
going,
was a 2-day strike anyway.
it's fine.
Yes, a
And,
1-inch.
and this is not even to hinge my hopes on the NLC, really. But I think that the way we've been going and the way we are now going, it's as if somebody was driving the vehicle and was mindful of being, or maybe if he was speeding if he was speeding, the police may stop him. But the person who has not taken over the vehicle, it does not give a hoot whether there's police on the. When crime continues, the people become.
The vehicle in this sense now is what? Is the country.
Straight, of course.
It's Nigeria.
Whoever was running the show was mindful of what people would say. But now it's as if the person who has taken over, the people, they
Just go on some.
they've seen now that they are going to go on cruise control. Just smash 200 and plug it there and just keep going. We can't. Minimum wage has no reason. You are giving people palliative and you are raising the price of meters. Why don't we give these meters free of charge? Why not give this meters free of charge and let people be subscribing and be paying? Why don't you simply go and say, okay, prepaid postpaid meter, they just take the prepaid away. Do you know even that 1,000 that they're talking about now for the one that was 1,000 naira? You can't get that meter in a week, in a month.
It takes about 6 months.
You can't get the meter.
Between
Why?
3 to 6 months.
Till today, if you went and bought your, right as I'm talking to you now, the fare, the whatever, what's it called?
The tariff.
The tariff has even increased, and it was done criminally, because I go to buy electricity from the vendor by the roadside, and they print out the.
You even have you have the patience to look at it. Some people don't even have the time.
You look at it,
So
and
you wouldn't even know.
the units you bought are no longer reflecting.
Of course, yeah.
In the past, it's reflected. Now it's no longer reflecting. That's criminality. That's theft. Because you're not telling me how much I'm buying. Who does that? If you went to a hospital and said somebody was sick, to this person the patient has a right to ask the doctor, what drugs are you? And if he won't take it, he won't take it. You can't force it. It's his right. It's patient's right. There are consumer rights in this country also. Why has the FCCPC not gone after them? Not gone to say, how can you tell people something and you can't tell them, if you subscribe to pay TV, okay, you know that it's for a month, and based on how much you pay, you know the bouquet you're going to get. Now you buy electricity, you can't even tell how much you're buying. The meter, the price has gone up. And is that for the best?
Oh well.
At the time when you give people rice and beans to be eating, because they can no longer fend for themselves. You said that you're raising the and the concomitant effect is this. Those who are using postpaid, their fares is now can also go up.
In fact,
Somebody
terribly.
who is selling
Astronomical.
beverages, toiletries, and all these things in a 2x2 shop will be receiving a bill of 100,000 naira per month. You are killing his business, Moses. You are killing it. You're not doing right with him. And as I've said it, if I became president in this country, one of the first things I will do is all electricity bills should be written off. And for the next 20, 30, however long, people should not pay a dime for power.
Okay. Let's finish up with this and then touch another paper. It is interesting times. It is, of course. NNPCL falls sale of NAOC assets to O&O. Gas revenue drops by 3.3 trillion naira in 12 months. Report. When you go further down, we have Tribunals. APC loses 2 National Assembly seats. PDP wins 1. 17-year-old boy locks in parents, steals car, others. MMIA fire. Air traffic controllers relocate to mobile tower. All right. These are the other headlines we have from the Punch newspaper. Let's take another one quickly before we run out of time.
Okay, here the Guardian newspaper, it says a tribunal affirms Tinubu'S victory, dismisses petitions. That's on page 6. And above that, we'll have stakeholders raise concern over NERC's hike in price of prepaid meter. Then we also have tribunal sacks another Kogi senator, declares okay, declares Akpoti Udwagan winner. You can find that on page 20 of the Guardian newspaper. And then below that we have why election matters are difficult to prove in court by Tonye Cole. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And then you also have 17.7 million Nigerians hungry. Others face acute food insecurity. That's on page 3 as well. And then you also have 6,000 cargoes abandoned at Apapa Tinkan port since 2011. That's on page 18 of the Guardian newspaper. Then we also have athletics, why it was all wobbling, fumbling on Budapest track. Okay, so Cyril, you want to talk still on the tribunal actually. You know, it says Tribunal affirms Tinubu'S victory and dismisses petition. What did you think about, about all, like, this whole process? The dismissal of petitions and all of that?
Well, it's the opinion of the court, and the judges have the right to dispense with the matter the way they deem it fit, the way they, I believe, the way they have seen the evidence brought before it, and they've been able to look at the nuances and put things together to say this is the way we think the matter played out. It's not always a question of what you think is right, what you think is the truth. The law deals with facts, and so if the fact before the court were sufficient enough to have made them rule the way they did, it's entirely up to them. But whether the challengers found justice in the judgment is another kettle of fish entirely. Now, the matter for me, one of the riders you took in the story, Tonye Cole, was alluding to the fact that he was saying something to the effect of why it is difficult to prove election matters in court. Yeah. I think it may not be about why it's difficult. We've had, let me give you instances. Governor Ralph Aregbesola in Osun became governor of Osun State via the courts. Adams Oshomole became governor of Edo via the courts. Governor, which of the Southwest governors again? I'm not sure if it was Ogun or Oyo, but we've had several election petitions being decided by the courts. And I mean, you just took one about Natasha Akpoti Udwagan, who went from not winning the elections at the ballot to being affirmed winner by the court. You know, she was a minister nominee.
Yes.
So when she fell from that cadre, the court has smiled on her now, and she's. So Moses, Joy, the matter is that election case can be proved in court. There's no doubt about it. There was a time a particular governor had a case in court about elections, and I said, this governor, is he living behind civilization? What sort of lawyer is he even taking to court? A lawyer that nobody knows. And I told myself that if he picked so and so lawyers, he will win that case. The following day, this was soliloquy. The following day, he took one of those lawyers and he won the case. Moses.
Oh.
Moses. You know, there's a saying in Yoruba that the man that does not know book has to know his way. It's a play on words. And it's
yeah.
So, if Tonye Cole, as far as I know, he's an investor in the energy sector. He does not know the book of the law. He has to know somebody. He should look for somebody who knows the book of the law to help him, so that he'll find his way. He has run for governor now twice in university, and he has not won. Okay? So the question is, how has he been going about his own legal tussles, and not about whether it's difficult or not to prove his case in court? It's not. He should talk. Okay, so he is in the APC, right? He was APC candidate. I mean, he should talk to people like Emil Shibajo. He should talk to people like Justice Mary Odele, for example, has said that the president's lawyers, the likes of Lateef Fagbemi and Wole Nanikpeku, are veterans, experts, and people who have the know-how. And somebody is saying it's difficult to win cases in court. I don't accept what Tonye Cole is saying. No. I don't agree. He has not found men who know the way. If he finds those who know their way, they will help him. If he follows them, he will get to his own promised land. In Nigeria, I don't think it's a matter of it's difficult. It's not difficult to prove, except you didn't know the strategy. And quite frankly speaking, election matters don't begin on election day. Before election is when you sit down with your team, with your lawyers and advisors, and you plan. Do you know Governor Sam of Ebonyi State, Governor Sam Dave Umahi, who is now the Minister of Works, did say that election takes place in about 5 or 6 stages. He said 1, the primaries; 2, main election; 3, election petition. And so when he was outlining it, so to the public, election ends on election day, and then if somebody goes to court, say, oh, okay, they can take it to court. But for they don't take their budget covers pre-election, election, and post-election. So I don't know the sort of political civilization that Mr. Tonyeko has, but I will advise him that, because I mean that's my state. I'll advise him that he needs to get into the fold of those who know how this thing is done, if he wants to make any headway with his own political journey. But
all right, then.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have to interrupt the newspaper review here and move on to the major talking points. I must say a very big thank you to you, Cyril Abaku.
Thank you, Cyril.
All right, so now it's Nigeria's Presidential Election Tribunal, which on Wednesday rejected challenges by opposition rivals to President Bola Tinubu's win. And in the February 25 disputed vote following a pattern seen in previous election years. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get talking proper and introduce our guest to you. Stay with us.
When your mornings